Hello everyone, this is iKonakona, and in this video I'm going to be continuing the TF2 tier list for different types of game modes. The first one I did was Payload Offense, and in this video I'm going to be going over my personal tier list for Payload Defense. Now this is, like I said before, this is for public servers. This is not Highlander or 6v6 or competitive or anything. This is just your standard public server. So, not surprisingly, at number 9, I have the Scout. The Scout, I don't think actually does very well on Payload in general. If you have a really good Scout, let's say someone who comes from competitive and jumps on a pub server, then of course he's going to do well, because I've had a bunch of those times where a Scout just completely owned the team, because he's just generally better. But in most cases, the person playing Scout on Payload is not a very good idea. Because of his low health, the Scout probably won't survive very long, especially near the cart. Now, Scout would probably be useful in finishing off people who are lightly damaged. Sometimes on at least a coordinated team, they usually like to call out people like, oh, you know, the soldier is damaged. And then the Scout can go in there really quickly with a few shots and finish him off. But in most cases, there's not that kind of communication, and so a Scout is not that useful here. At number 8 is the Sniper. Now I put the Sniper higher on the offensive list for Payload, but on the defensive list, the Sniper only really has one key job, and I think that is to take out enemy Ubers before they're able to pop it. As a Sniper, your primary target, of course, is going to be enemy snipers, but if you can take out an enemy medic before he's able to pop his Uber, then the offensive team won't be able to make a push into your defense with an Uber, because that's just one of the scariest things sometimes. You know that the offensive team is trying to build up Uber to take care of defensive sentries. So if you can get a good sniper to really get that key headshot on that medic before the Uber is popped, that's really useful for the team. But in most cases, that doesn't really happen. At number 7 is the Pyro. Now, I kind of hate to put the Pyro this low on the list, but my brother and I were talking, and we were like, you know what? There's like this kind of weird thing going on defense when the offensive team keeps pushing the cart through all of these checkpoints. For some reason, people like to switch to Pyro, and they think that as the offensive team keeps pushing the cart, that switching to Pyro is going to benefit the defense. A classic example of this is Badwater. Now, I know this is not Badwater, this is Thunder Mountain, the first map. But think about Badwater. Badwater on the last point. Now, this happens a lot. On the last point, people think that, oh, well, the cart is going to be like, it's going to be in a pretty good area for Pyros to ambush. And so the defensive team likes to switch to Pyros on that last point in Badwater. But they don't really get a whole lot of kills. The Pyro, in that case, likes to usually go in, likes to set people on fire, and they think they're doing, a lot of work because, they get a lot of these hits. The game goes ding, 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 ding. You're getting all those hits there. But Pyros usually don't get that many kills in that situation. Pyros sometimes forget about all these different angles that the offense has against them, especially on Badwater. That last point, especially when the cart is right next to the end, right down that hill, Pyros like to rush it, but they forget that the enemy has the height advantage. They probably have the map room, and they probably have the upper balcony, so they can easily just spam stickies or spam rockets down, and the Pyro is pretty much useless against anyone above them. And so in that case, people think Pyro is good, but switching to Pyro and having too many Pyros is not very good for the team. Sometimes it is actually useful, let's say for this map, on the very last map, map number 3, the one where the cart goes around and around and up that tower. You could air blast the team off the tower. That's actually really, really useful. But in some cases, and actually in most cases, Pyros don't like to do that. They like to set people on fire. At number 6 is the Soldier, a general class, pretty easy to use, and because the offense is going to be clumped up around the cart, a Kritzkrieg Soldier is a really fast way to take everyone out near the cart. It's so much fun when you have a medic with Kritzkrieg pop that crits and basically take out half their team because they're all lumped together. They like to be lumped together near the cart. Sometimes it doesn't kill in one shot because they are near the cart, they are getting healed, so you might need a few shots. But defensive soldier, very, very effective. At number 5 is the spy. Now, I know people like to put spies rather low on tier lists, I guess, because it seems like spies, they're just like, oh, we have too many spies, you know, that's why we lost kind of thing. Too many spies, too many snipers. But I wanted to put the spy, you know, about midway on this list because a defensive spy is a lot more effective than the offensive spy, or in terms of getting lots and lots of kills and being, you know, actually, you know, doing something for your team. Now, the reason why a defensive spy is a lot easier to use and you can probably get more kills rather than an offensive spy is because a defensive spy, it's easy to get behind them. It's really easy to get behind the offense. And the offense is going to be so busy. They're going to be so preoccupied with trying to hold the front line and trying to push the cart that it's going to be really, really easy kills for that spy. Oh, by the way, here, I probably should have pulled back. Yeah, that was a bad call on me. For some reason, I thought I could take him, but that was a fight I should have run away from. Now, what you'll see a lot are dead ringer spies, and this is really, really effective because the way you play dead ringer spy is actually very different than the way you play a regular Inviswatch spy, and you go for different targets. A dead ringer spy is kind of like a frontline spy. The best time to go in with Dead Ringer is when the enemy is distracted right on the front line. The enemy is shooting at your teammates, but they're so busy with that you can go in there and go for the kill. By the way, what is up with that? That's a confusing stab there. But yeah, that's a really effective way to play Dead Ringer Spy because even though, let's say you miss a stab or you get one stab, you can easily just activate Dead Ringer and you have a safe way out. So that's why a Dead Ringer spy on defense is a really good frontline spy. You can get a lot of kills, and because the enemy is so focused on trying to push that cart, they're going to be bunched up near that cart, so you can actually get a double stab or even a triple stab pretty easily with a Dead Ringer spy and still be able to activate it and have a safe way out. It's not going to hold, it's not, you know, a single spy cannot hold down an entire offensive team, but it's really good to stop their momentum if they're pushing that cart. Next at number 4 is the DEMOMAN, and it's pretty obvious why the DEMOMAN is great on defense, and it's because the stickies, of course. It's going to be the stickies. Yeah, you can use pipe bombs and kind of lob them to keep them at bay, but the stickies are great because they're going to be moving pretty slow. The maximum speed you can get on the cart is a ×3, so 3 people, that's pretty much as fast as it's going to go. And it doesn't go too fast. You're still going to have a lot of time to lay down some sticky traps, and if they're so busy trying to shoot you, they are probably going to forget about the stickies right under their feet, right next to the cart. So it's an easy way to get a lot of damage really quickly, just setting up sticky traps right next to the cart. At number 3, it's the Engineer, and it's pretty obvious why the Engineer is ranked so high on this list. It's because it's primarily a defensive class. You can use teleporters and such, but it's the level 3 sentry that's going to be doing most of the work for a defensive Engineer. Now, unfortunately, I think when I played this map, we didn't have any Engineers, so it made my job as a heavy a lot tougher. But an Engineer, especially an Engineer with a level 3 sentry and a dispenser, do a pretty good job in holding down the point, especially the last point. Now, if you're going to be playing as a defensive Engineer, it's good to try and learn where the normal places are to place all of these sentries. If you've played a lot of these maps before, you'll notice that the sentries end up being set up in a lot of the same places, and there's a reason for that. It's because those places are very effective. There's very few counters on taking out that position. In this case, this map, a good sentry place would be right where I'm standing. Unfortunately, we don't have a sentry there, so that's why I'm standing there. But also, let's say you're playing on Gold Rush defense. Gold Rush, the first map, the first point, or sorry, the second point, last point. The ledge on the very far left, if you're playing defense, overlooking basically the entire last point, that's a very effective spot. Also the attic, if you can control the attic, that's also a very effective place to put a level 3 sentry. So if you're going to play engineer, it's good to try and learn all these different places that people normally put engineers, because people who play engineer and put them there, they kind of know what they're doing, and they know that if they put a sentry there, there are very few counters to that position. At number 2 is the heavy. I think every team needs some sort of tank able to take a lot of damage and have a lot of damage output as well. Now the heavy doesn't have a whole lot of range, so it's best to try and clear a cart as a heavy, like jumping around a corner or try to really surprise them. And it's okay to build Uber, if you have a medic on you, try to build some Uber or maybe even build crits as well. The thing is, usually when you're on defense, you expect the offensive team to be building up Uber and popping it against you. But you gotta remember, you're probably gonna have medics too, and don't be afraid to start building up Uber and popping Uber against them. Now, speaking of Uber, the number 1 class on my list for payload defense is the medic. Medic, I feel, is so important. I mean, the medic is always important, but really, on defense, I think it is probably the most important. Now the reason is because the spawn times when you're playing as defense can be very long. Sometimes, I know everyone has probably gone through this, where they die on defense and they have to wait like 20 something seconds just to respawn. By the way, I think I bumped into a spy there, but I'm just running to save my life here. I'm sure everyone has experienced that, where you die and you have to wait like a 20 something second respawn time. And that's when they're going to push the cart. That's when the offense is going to make a push, and that's when you cap it. And all you can do is just watch them push the cart, and you can't do anything because you're just waiting to respawn. If you had a medic on defense, he would be able to keep you alive, keep the teammates alive, and be able to keep up that defense. Now, I've been playing a lot of medic recently. I'm not really sure why. I'm just kind of in a medic mood right now. But I've been playing a lot of medic, and I feel most important when I'm on defense because I just gotta keep my teammates alive. And this happens a lot during the last point, especially. The spawn is really close to the last point, and I think that's why the respawn time is like 20 something seconds. So medic, if you're a medic and you like to play medic, good for you. Keep on doing that. People just love medics, love medics healing them. If your team does not have a medic and you're playing on defense, do your team a favor and someone switch off to medic. 1 is good, 2 is even better, 3 is, I think, is a little bit too much. I think 1 or 2 medics on defense is perfect. Keep your teammates alive as long as possible so that they can form a front line. Your engineers will have more time to build up their level 3 sentries, and I think that's a way to build a solid defense. So that is my tier list for payload defense in TF2. It's a little bit different than offense, I think, because it's really a different game when you're trying to defend the cart rather than push it. Now, I'm curious on what you guys have to say about this tier list. If you guys have your own tier list, make a video response, actually. I'm kind of hoping that someone will make a video response to one of these videos. If not, you can just leave a comment below. I'm really curious as to what you guys think. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.